Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenore and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is the horoscope for Capricorn. If Capricorn is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so our card tonight is the Princess of Swords. Okay, and let's go ahead and take a look and see what these tea leaves have to say. And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to hit the like button or leave a comment, please do. I would love to hear from you. All right, let's take a look at these ones first. I haven't even rotated the whole thing, but I wanted to start here. So we have a person standing here looking at a butterfly. We also have a question mark right behind them. Okay, so I absolutely love this image. I feel like this is kind of a moment of contemplation. I feel like this is kind of those times in our lives where we kind of get lost in thought. We think about, where we've been, where we're at, and where are we going to be going? How can we assist ourselves in our own self-evolution, right? How do we become that butterfly that we metamorphosize through our different cycles of life? That is the question, right? And it is individual to each of us, obviously. But this is something that I think is generally a collective experience, right? To have moments where we really we're assessing our lives. We're assessing, how are we going to move? What is the next thing for me? How will that affect me? Is this going to help feed my goal, right? Am I going to, be kind of taken far off path? Is that worth it? I hope that we have these moments anyways, right? Of course we're all different, and maybe, some people think about these things more often than others. But I feel for you, Capricorn, when it comes to goals and living and adjusting, tinkering with how you are living, how you're living, what you're doing, how you're doing it. It's not a uncommon experience for you. But I do think that this is a profound time of readjustment, or at least beginning to make plans to do so. Now, I don't know that this is really even brought on by anything. I don't know that there's some situation arising that is making you really think about this stuff, other than, the passage of time. And that will really do it to you, right? You start considering how fast things are going, how short life really is. And you get right into that place. Okay, so now we have a face here, and let's pull it out. We have it right here. You can see the eyes, the nose, maybe the mouth down here. It looks like a satyr. We've had a lot of satyrs this summer. In the northern hemisphere, of course, it is summer. In the southern hemisphere, not summer. Winter, even. But we have the satyr. The satyr is the half goat, half person, half man, half human. I have seen depictions of female satyrs, but I think it's not as common, right? At least in the artworks. And so this is kind of like Pan, right? If you can think of that forest spirit Pan. This is one that is not bound to societal mores or, virtues, traditions, rules and regulations. No, this is one that is primal. One that moves off of those kind of subtle energies, stirring around right at the base of their being. And so when I see this, I feel that there is a pull towards, maybe kind of allowing yourself to swim in your impulses, your desires, your, kind of stirrings, if you will. And letting loose a little bit, letting some steam off, doing the things that kind of bring you great pleasure, whatever that might be. And yes, I think this is a most wonderful reprieve for you. As you were looking at your life and you were thinking, how do I go about this? What do I want to do next? Am I fulfilling the hopes that I had for myself once? Maybe you have kind of conquered all of those summits, right? You've hit all the goals. Or maybe you're like the rest of us and just kind of finding our way, right? Rechecking in here and there, seeing if we've hit the next base camp yet. But that can become so rigid, so serious, so, it is. It can feel suffocating. Have you ever felt like that in your own life? Maybe you have a beautiful home, beautiful life, beautiful job and family and making some money, and everything from the outside should look pristine. People even tell you, oh, you're so lucky, you're so blessed, you've got it all, you've done it all, you've worked so hard, and you've done it. And you on the inside, it feels like, the weight of the world is on you. You don't have time to even, partake in the things that you've worked hard to obtain in your life, right? I don't know why, I was just thinking of a pool table. This seems to me to be one of those big indicators. At least, I don't know. It's definitely an American thing. It's definitely like a suburbanite American thing. And I think it's probably even a bit of a cliche, but doing well, getting the house, and buying a pool table to like put in your bonus room or your basement or whatever. And, you're so excited. You've always wanted one, like your cousins had one or your best friend had one growing up, and you always wanted one. So you got it, you have it, it's in the house. But do you ever play with it, right? Do you ever play? Do you ever shoot some pool? Do you ever have time to do that? And if you do have time, is that the thing that you want to go do? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that thing has been sitting there for weeks, months, maybe even years without anybody doing anything with it. And yeah, it is. It's like a perfect symbol of we obtain, or we hope for, we work for, we obtain, and squandered. right? And that's that tightness, that just suffocating energy that is how a lot of us live, right? Trying to make ends meet, trying to do a little more than that, trying to not only, survive, but thrive. Then we put our hard work into what? We're not moving off of our instincts. We're moving off of these ideas that are in our head, these images, these perceptions, conditioning. And then we get the satyr feeling. We get these forest spirits. And you know what? They come in and they say, I don't care if you're a millionaire. I don't care if you, have 50 cents to your name. Doesn't matter. We break the chains of conventionality. We sing and dance and rive beneath the moonlight. We're wild. We're beholden to all of the elements, right? Earthy and low to the ground. Somewhat of a simplicity. But there's that fire, that passion, that creativity, twisting and turning and pouring out the waters of emotion, of life flowing, being taken, being given. And the airiness, right? That mental place, that place that we receive, the revelation that comes through the ecstasy, through the inhibition, through letting go of the constraints. I think this is why, people have visions when they're in these states of profound love, agape, into, the music, in the mystery schools, right, in Greece, during the long period of Hellenism, they had these schools, right? They called them mystery schools. They were kind of like cults or whatever. Small religions, although they weren't very small. Now they had the state religion or a cult or cults, right? And these are kind of like what everybody, depending on where you lived, right? What region, what neighborhood, you had these kind of agreed upon public religions, festivals and rites and, whatever. And then you had the mystery schools, the private ones, right? And it depended kind of on, your position in life and your occupation and your heritage and whatever. What would you what would you seek out and what would you be initiated into and so on. And so, depending on the mystery religion, there were different kinds of rites, but one that I wish I remembered the text of where I read about this, but and it's a widely experienced thing in a lot of the mysteries, but in the Orphic tradition, that is the mystery school of Orpheus, there is this strong connection to the descent into the underworld, right? And so they would go into caves, right? And they would often be set up as temples, of course. These weren't just random caves out in the middle of nowhere. They would go in there, they'd play music, they would have fires. Now, if you could imagine going into a cave that has a fire going and there is a melodic beat going, right? Kind of like a heartbeat. And you're in there, it's kind of probably hot, stuffy. You have people dressed up in costumes. You have other people being initiated. You're all getting into kind of the same rhythm. You can't necessarily think or hear or feel anything outside of the collective, because you are in this place that is like beating a drum going, and the fire is flickering against the wall and the lighting, and it makes, it draws shadows that are cast across your face, and the masks and the togetherness, and there is poetry being read. There are sacred hidden words being uttered and stories unfolding. And this is the thing, they would kind of act out the mystery ordeals or stories, allegories, right? And usually as you went into the cave system, there would be passages, and these would often kind of relate to the transitions in the stories, but also the levels of initiation. And so you become quite altered, because you're quite literally in this completely different state of being, right? You are in Alice in Wonderland, right? You are in the fairy tale. You are not just reading it safely in bed, right? You are in it. And so when I look at the Seder, right, this is the kind of energy. It's like, waking up at 2 a.m. and putting on your house coat and, kind of even without your shoes. Hopefully you put your shoes on though, because it's, pokey outside. And you run across the yard, and maybe you live, for my story, you have to live next to some trees, right? There's a little grove maybe, or a little, you live next to a park, or whatever it is. There's a little forested area, and you go in there, and as you come to a clearing, yes, they are dancing next to the fire, and you start to join, and you are welcome, and you are kind of twisting and turning under that moonlight, and you are being swept away into this magical realm, and you forget about all those other things. You need that little kind of reprieve once in a while. And so, it is. There is this kind of calling for you to maybe go somewhere, do something out of the ordinary, go on a little adventure. I'm not one myself. I don't do like nightclubs or, when I was younger, I used to live in a city, right? Shout out to Minneapolis. I love you, baby. But I went to shows and stuff, and had a nightlife and all of that. And then, not so much. I live in the middle of nowhere, and I am quite boring. Quite boring. But yeah. Every once in a while, don't we need a little adventure? Don't we need to kind of go to some kind of, am I like descending into the underworld for an evening is like going to, like a noise concert. Going and seeing some experimental music in some basement somewhere. But yeah, whatever it is for you, go adventuring, go dancing, go to a play, go to some kind of immersive theater, go out to the field at night and, take a blanket and a little, I don't know, some sparkling grape juice or something, like those ones that they sell for New Year's, and go and just experience the night. Do something that just, it feels detached right? From all of the rest of reality. And yeah, and amazingly in these places we have these moments of vision, of clarity, of symbols and synchronicities arising, revelation. These spiritual downloads just kind of pour in. And, yeah, maybe there's well, especially as a Capricorn, and I'm also a Capricorn. I'm an ascendant Capricorn. And so I understand kind of the pushback or the fear, the kind of like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, because there is something uncomfortable about breaking our patterns, about going outside of our routines. But sometimes it is most necessary. It is most necessary. Now, we do have a rose here. We also have the memories. Okay, so I know that this is the mother goddess energy, and we have a home over here. Okay, we have two people in it. We also have a wolf, right? The big bad wolf coming a knocking. So I do feel that there's maybe some fear about like a shift in the domestic life. And maybe this is kind of, there have been some underlying domestic problems. It could be financially, it could be, chores, or, maybe within your relationship, there's a disconnect there. And you want to change things up, you want to switch things, but there is that fear, right? What happens if it just causes everything to fall apart? And I think that you get in your head about this, but ultimately, I think that that something is changing. And I think that, ultimately you want to have the best kind of foundation you can have, that you want to provide a life for yourself and for those that you love, your children, maybe your spouse, or even animal companions, our beloved furry friends. But I think that there's this real sense of, it's easy for you, I think, to move from information. Like if you have all the facts and you kind of have an idea, you can anticipate maybe what the changes might be, or what the what is the best course of moving forward or whatever. But when this becomes an emotional thing, right? We're not dealing necessarily with any kind of rule book. It's just kind of, there are great emotions happening. Also, we have that Princess of Swords. So I do feel like maybe there's somebody involved here who is very intelligent, but also kind of juvenile, right? Maybe a younger person, maybe kind of a feminine energy, but more than anything, I think really this feeling of wanting to change the world, right? Maybe this is somebody who is like politically active or socially active. They might be, quite well up on things that, as we get older, right? There's so much stuff going on in the world, on the internet, with these young people. They have all kinds of things happening. I mean, listen, we were like that too when we were young. And it's hard to keep up. I don't know what the heck is going on half the time, or what they're talking about, or, I have teenage nephews and nieces and things in my life, and, there are different interests and fads and whatever. I don't know. And it's hard to keep track of because it's so decentralized now with the internet. So there's a lot of stuff going on. But I do feel like there's kind of this energy in your life. And I think that, you're probably a pretty and I won't say conservative, but maybe traditional, or at least pragmatic, right? You just kind of, you know, you're like the engineer of the family. You deal with solid facts, or you deal with at least, you know, things that are based within reality, or perceived to be so anyways. And so when the emotional stuff comes up, and it's like, it's really, it can get murky for you. But it does feel like kind of this volatility where there is the wolf at the door, right? Is it going to kind of blow the house over? I don't know, right? But I think that you're definitely looking for and willing to do whatever you need to kind of keep the peace, continue building, you know, having a life and an atmosphere that is conducive with you being able to reach the goals that you want to. And that's ultimately what it's about for you, is working towards your vision. And so I feel like, yeah, there is this person, and maybe it is like a child, a grown-up child of yours, or a grandchild. I feel like there can be some conflict. You know, maybe you don't have the same ideas about the world, or, you know, like I said, you know, young people, they have all kinds of things going on. We don't necessarily understand all of that stuff. And I'm saying we because I am also older. I'm definitely, I wouldn't consider myself a youth, obviously. So, you know, and that it can cause some conflict, definitely. But I think that there is room for, and I'm seeing we have a person here, kind of, I almost imagine, being in, I'm trying to think how to say this, right? Because it looks like we have two like monitor lizards or dragons, right? And then we have an apple. They're feeding the apple to them, making friends with them. We also, and I'm looking at the butterfly again. And so maybe this is really, it is about learning how to talk to commune with these family members, or whoever it is in your local community, right? In a healthy way, right? Both healthy on your end and on their end. And I feel like that brings stability to your life, you know, and this might be that they are kind of a volatile factor. When you get both of you together, there's conflict to some degree. Now, I know that there's love as well, and there's respect, but I do feel like, you know, and this is a situation that comes up when we have teenagers, when we have, you know, people in their younger years, even as they get older. I mean, listen, in America, it is election season. I say that, I'm closing my eyes, I'm trying to zen out as I'm saying it. Hopefully not as divisive as it was some years ago, but my goodness, you know, it is. People of all ages are really on one right now. And so, yeah, there is probably some conflict in people's households right now, I imagine. But, you know, I think ultimately finding a way to have some commonality, to find a place where you can just kind of agree to disagree, but you still love each other, right? And you still can and be as close as you've ever been. And I think that does. It brings the stability to the house. It gets that wolf out of here. There's not that lingering feeling of like everything's about to fall apart. We're good, right? We're good. And so let's also take a look over here. We have the star. We have a bird that is flying fast. When we turn it this way, it looks like the hummingbird. So there is a speediness to reaching a goal here. And so I do feel like everything kind of coming together. Now we also have 3 people. So I do feel like there will be a message coming through. And I feel like this is from a maybe ancestor, an elder who is related to the hummingbird. Maybe it's their totem, maybe that's their energy, maybe they loved feeding hummingbirds. Maybe they decorated their house with things that had hummingbirds on them. But I do feel them coming through a visitation, and it will come through to 3 of you within the family. Maybe your siblings or cousins or mom, dad, or whoever it is, right? I feel like each of you will have your own individual experience with this family member. And I feel like they are. It's not, I don't know what the message is, but it feels like it's important. It feels like it's very based in love and support. Okay. So let's go ahead. We're going to do our self-care affirmation cards. And I will flip through and stop where it feels right. Okay. And it says, crystal clarity. I have focus clarity. The universe provides for my desires with abundance as I become clear as crystal. As I become clear as crystal. Yes. All right. Okay, Capricorn, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. If you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I would love to hear from you, especially if you're new to the channel. Definitely shout it out in the comments. And what else? Yeah, I think that's it. So I want to go ahead again and tell you I love you. We'll talk in a few days. Good night. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.